All right, how's everyone doing? I'm Rich Celenza, and thanks for tuning into the Rich Celenza Show. WTF are you talking about? So what I want to get into today is, I'm going to call it basically, learning to protect yourself. So I notice more and more that a lot of people, and this is not to disrespect people, are looking, I can't say they're looking weaker and weaker, but they don't look like they can handle themselves. And don't think there's also tons of guys, men and women out there in better shape than ever as well. But I also think with technology, I think, I don't know if it's our body dispositions are changing, which I think they are. Obviously looking at cell phones, our backs are arched, or a lot of people, I think just in general, are looking either obese. They just don't look fit. A lot of them look also out of shape. So the one thing I want to tell you more than anything is learn how to protect yourself. Not only that, you need to be in a position where you could protect others as well, okay? And that doesn't mean I'm telling you to go out and become a professional fighter, or that you have to run out and start learning to be a badass, to do jujitsu unless you want to, take karate or martial arts, learn to box unless you want to, but anything you can do to help yourself in a situation where if something physically goes down, right, you want to learn how to do this, okay? I'm going to tell you, because just because you may think that never is going to happen to you, like somebody's going to take advantage of you, physically harm you, rob you, it may not happen, but I could assure you, you're going to probably end up in situations where it may as well, especially if you live long enough. Something most likely is going to go down. And I talk about sometimes with guys being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So in my program, Mastering Self-Confidence, the blueprint to try to find the woman of your dreams, even if you've been through a bad breakup or divorce, I talk about these things. Because I don't think men, and this goes for women too, I should say. I don't want to think that it's just this is about men, but I'm going to just throw it on men. I believe a woman wants to be around a man that can definitely protect her. But a lot of women, I think, actually are fine protecting themselves. Don't think a woman has to depend on a man. I think that's ridiculous. This is for both men and women, okay? So, I have 2 daughters as well. I have a girlfriend, and, the number one thing I get afraid of is, and it's just not one man doing something to them or one woman doing something to somebody. It's, them being caught off guard. So it's not just about learning how to protect yourself, right? It's about learning not to get caught off guard, which is hard if somebody does something behind your back, or maybe you've been drinking or you trust somebody and something goes down. And here's something too, and I talk about this. If something goes down, a lot of times something is a reach away, like you could reach for something to use as a weapon, and I don't think a lot of people realize that, especially in a home. It could be even in your car. It could be even a remote from a TV. It could be a lamp. I don't care. It could be a full can of beer, hypothetically, or a bottle you can use to protect yourself a lot of times. But I think people go numb. They either get hit in the face or they get threatened. They get paralyzed. Now they just shut down. They don't know what to do. And then before you know it, you're being taken advantage of physically. And that's the last thing I want to happen to anybody, because, and here's the other thing too. If you're not into weights, or if you don't want to start learning how to protect yourself from a physical standpoint, say, and again, I'm just asking you to take self-defense classes. Again, I'm not telling you have to go out and lift weights to become huge or strong. Again, you don't have to take all these martial arts classes or whatever you want. Just learn how to defend yourself. And if you want, if you're more comfortable carrying a weapon, a firearm, that's good too. I'm not going to say, but a lot of times you may be in positions where you don't have that firearm on you, so you kind of all of a sudden get in a bad position, depending on something like that. And I can tell you, I carried a gun for a majority of my life. I lived in Florida, and I had a weapons permit, and I actually used to carry it in a fanny pack. And I did that on purpose because, for the most part, walking around Orlando, Florida, people just thought I was like a corny dad, right? So I'm like, wow, this guy's wearing a fanny pack. And the reason I carried a fanny pack was truthfully because I got away with it and nobody ever questioned me. A lot of times, I don't know if you know this about firearms, you're not supposed to obviously bring it in, it could be police stations, it could be libraries, schools, banks, the list goes on and on. But when I had my fanny pack, people just thought it was a fanny pack, right? That I had my little cell phone in, or I had something inside of there for my kids. But little did they know I had a gun in there. Sometimes I actually carried 2 guns. which sounds crazy. I'd have one, in my car, or I'd have one in a bag. I used to collect money for many, many years, so I had to definitely protect myself. I even got in an altercation with the bank that I brought the money to, where they said, Rich, we know you carry a gun and that's not allowed. And I said, well, then you are going to have to come and get your own money, because we dealt with a lot of change because we're in the vending business, and cash. I says, but I'm not walking in and out of a bank with an extreme amount of money, not protecting myself. And I even had to walk inside the vault because we had so much money at that time, unloading and loading. And so they let me do it. I guess they trusted me, which was wonderful. But back to protecting yourself. When you're with your friends, or when you're with your girlfriend, or I don't care, your partner or whatever, you do not want to be the person that has to depend on somebody else to protect you. And I don't care if you have the toughest friend, if you have an alpha male friend, and I'm not telling you have to turn into an alpha male, but a lot of times you are going to be by yourself, and you need to protect yourself. Okay, and if somebody in your crew or your group, even your family, can hold their own, God bless them. You need to also hold your own, especially if it's, like I said, you're alone. So I do a lot of traveling, and I'm always in different areas, different cities. Sometimes I'm driving through bad neighborhoods. Sometimes I'm in good neighborhoods, whatever the case may be. But just by my body disposition, and I think I just grew up kind of maybe that alpha male mindset, and I was always bigger and stronger, and I'm still kind of muscular, I guess. I have that look of kind of like a junkyard dog, where that doesn't mean there's millions of guys out there that can't kick my ass, because I can assure you they probably can. But it shows they know just by the way I walk, I look, and I have that resting male bitch face, like I am going to go to war with you. If you go to war with me, little do they know, I just want to help everybody. But if you're a stranger and I don't know you, I definitely am not going to let you get close enough to me to make a move. If I feel something going down, again, this is where the mental aspect, what I want you to start learning too, is, again, keeping yourself from a distance from people, especially you don't trust. And again, that could be like, even if I go to a restaurant, or I go into all different types of neighborhoods to eat and all these things, I don't really mingle or put myself, I don't run at the mouth. If somebody talks to me, I'll say hello and talk to them. I don't talk to a lot of women. I don't know if these women are, if they're with other guys. I'm just not caught up. I want to control my environment and always keep myself at a safe place. I don't think a lot of men or women do that a lot of times, even by themselves. They run at the mouth, they drink a little too much, they get a little cocky. You need to be very aware of your actions, right? Because I don't care who you are, somebody comes from behind you, they can hit you in the head with a bottle, they can do whatever. I've been jumped more than once from the couple guys up to 8 guys when I was younger. I've gotten so many, I've caught more beatings sometimes, I think, when I was younger than I gave. And I always said it's easy to beat anybody's ass, right? It's catching that beating and be able to recover from it. That's really what makes somebody tougher, I think, right? I think Rocky talks about that. Rocky, I don't know which number it was, where, you catch the beating and you keep coming at them. And that's what my mother used to say. They'll knock us down, but you're not going to knock us out. For us to give up, you're going to have to, destroy us. That's the mindset I have. But I don't think a lot of young people or people in general have that mindset. They almost are giving off a vibe of weakness or victimness. Is that a word, victimness? I don't know if that's a word. I say crazy shit. But I don't want you to be a victim is really what I'm saying in a nutshell. Because being a victim, in my eyes, is just a form of weakness. And if people know you're weak, there's going to be assholes out there that are going to bully you, mentally try to, fuck with you, physically, all these different things, right? I don't know if you ever saw this study once where they had, just by your tone and your voice, tells people immediately where you stand a lot of times. And and there's nothing wrong with being soft-spoken, being introverted, because I consider myself introverted and extroverted. I'm not telling you to go out there and be loud or obnoxious or any of that, but your tone and the way you look at somebody, just your eyes right there looking straight into their eyes, immediately sends a signal and says, hey, I see what I am not here to fuck around. And they did a study where they had, say these people were in a mall, and they were walking, and there was a circle, and a quiet disposition guy stood in the middle of the circle. He didn't want anybody to, walk into the circle, this big, and he would say, hey, try not to walk in the circle, sir. And they didn't care. They'd walk right past him. Then he changed his disposition. Then he stood at the front, and anybody in the community is like, step outside, don't step in the circle, watch it. Don't step in. Every person avoided him. They were jumping around him just to make sure. And it wasn't he was being an asshole, he was just being firm with his decision. And that's what you got to kind of be in your life a lot of times. And the way you walk, the way you act, the way you look, right? A lot of times you need to understand the vibe you are sending off. Because a lot of times I think I could have been in many bad positions, but I think just by my disposition, people know, oh my goodness, I don't really know if I'm going to deal with this guy right now. And they probably made a good choice a lot of times. And other times, who knows what could have happened. I could have got my ass kicked. And I'm going to go into a story where I was a while back ago, and actually I had a gun on me at that time. Anyways, I was leaving a movie theater late at night, and there were, there was a group of guys, 3 or 4 guys. They looked a little shady. I think they were kind of looking at us. I don't know if they were going to jump us or not. We did like a midnight movie, which was weird. And then you're leaving a movie theater at 2:30 in the morning. And the girl I was with started shaking and freaking out. I didn't know this at the time. I'm nonchalantly talking about the movie, don't give a shit. And then we get to the car. She had her mace in her hand. She was crying almost. She's like, oh my God, why were you so nonchalant? You weren't paying attention. Little did she know I had a gun on me at the time. And little did she know I was 100% paying attention to them. I'm not just going to sit there and act like some asshole, like turning around, like giving them like a standoff situation. I was just trying to let them know I'm nonchalant, but I know that they're there. But it didn't make me think. And I talk about this in my program where a lot of people don't feel very secure in their own body, or they feel like something can happen to them, and they really don't have the defense mechanisms that they need. And this was a smaller girl. So, and I get it. If you're a girl that's smaller, 100 pounds, and you're looking at 4 or 5 dudes, you know what I mean? And I never thought about her being by herself a lot, what she goes through, because I never felt that way. I literally will walk through a ghetto. I really don't give a shit. I don't fear that. I guess that's why I travel so well by myself everywhere, because I don't fear anywhere I'm at. And when I was in Italy, I remember with my uncles, so my dream was to go to Italy, which I was able to do, which was incredible. One of my uncles was he wasn't doing very well. We even had to take him to the hospital while we were in Italy. And out of my 2 uncles and my 3 cousins, I think out of us 5, they know I'm kind of like a junkyard dog in that aspect. So anything that came anywhere near us, and we've had some altercations in Italy too, because we were on the streets a lot. People confronting us. I even had a guy try to grab our bags. I think in Italian he was trying to tell me very quickly that he wanted to help us carry our bags, and we kept saying, no, grazie, no. And he kept following us, and he grabbed our bag once, so I physically had to grab him and kind of get him away from us. And then another time with a rental car, we got in an altercation because they were trying to force our bags into small, like a rental car. And it's not like it's organized, not a rental car. Yeah, I'm sorry, a cab to get us to the rental car. So it was like a cab, and he was trying to shove all our stuff in too small of a car. And we're like, man, what are you doing? They weren't listening to me. The guy was, so I had to literally grab my bags out. Then I had to grab him, and I think I shoved him to get him the fuck away from us. I'm like, these are our bags. I don't think you think I'm not fucking around here. So we had to get another guy, but I think they were used to taking control of every situation in Italy a lot of times and kind of controlling the tourist. And you're not going to control any aspect of me. I don't care if you're a waiter eating at a restaurant or anything, and I don't mean to be an asshole, but you're not going to take, control of my atmosphere or my radius. And I'm not saying, again, to be a badass, but I remember even walking with my uncle. We were walking, and he kept falling behind, but I made sure I was behind him at all times, because I want to make sure if I'm in front of him, something can go down behind him. I don't even know. I can lose him. And these uncles are like real Italian old school guys. They don't even use a cell phone. If I lost them, I lose them in Italy. I had to make sure I was behind both of my uncles, right? And my uncles, to this day, especially one of them, said, thank you so much when we were in Italy. I just always felt so safe with you. And that made me feel like I get goosebumps now thinking about that. That is the mindset I always want to have, is when you're with Richie, that could go for my father, my mother, anybody, they know I have their back, right? And that doesn't mean that, or my friend, and I've been arrested for fighting because of my friends. That doesn't mean you're a badass. Like every time someone fights, you got to jump in the middle of it and stand up for them, or you're not going to let anybody talk shit about anybody. I'm not telling you to do that. What I'm telling you is become somebody where you are in a lot of control physically and mentally of your environment, and others know that as well, and they feel safe around you. You bring a safety net, okay? and I don't remember if I said this early in the podcast or not again, but I think I did. Like it's easy to hurt somebody, right? Anybody could stab somebody, hit them with a bat, or shoot them, right? That's kind of easy. But to heal someone is not impossible. It's hard, like a doctor, or a paramedic. I don't care if you're even a police, fire, like these guys. It's not easy, like those jobs, but it's you from. And I'm not telling you to be any of those people. Don't. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is when you're in an environment, what you want to really start concentrating on is being in control, that no one is going to take control of you. All right? And that goes for men and women as well. And don't underestimate anyone. And don't let people put you in bad situations. All right? I talked about this before on, I think, other podcasts. A lot of times we have friends, family members, all this that take us out. They get drunk and then you get in a car with, or they start fights or this or that. You also have to have the mindset, and they have to know that you're strong enough to say, hey, jag off. You're going to get us in a fight with 3-4 guys. There's only 2 of us, and he may not even be that tough. He's just liquid muscle. Or he may be tough, but it's you and there's still 4 guys. He's going to put you in a bad position. So not only am I telling you got to protect yourself physically, and those around you, you have to be able to stand up for yourself and put people in check a little bit, right? And not be the one that's, always kind of falling and getting taken advantage of, even physically, or just being abused in general, or being bullied, okay? So I really want to get into this with this podcast. And I get into that a lot with my program, because I really do believe a lot of women, they want to be around a man that can protect them. And I'm not saying that your woman needs your protection, okay? Because that's not always the case. But I think, in my opinion, the women that I've always been around with, they definitely want to know a lot of times. They're not only protected, but if you have children, they are protected as well. If someone breaks into that house, right, or catches you off guard, or even altercation verbally, you've got to be able to handle yourself. Don't let anybody piss on you, man. Don't allow that shit, right? Do not allow it. Don't allow anybody to talk to your wife, you, your kids, or any way, certain way that you don't dig, right? But I'm also telling you, don't go out and be an asshole either, because there's a lot of those guys who are kind of know-it-all big mouths. But yeah. So anyways, I'm going to wrap it up there. Hopefully you got something out of that. But please, if you can, take any class you can in self-defense. I actually want to go back. The thing is, I took karate when I was younger, and I got aggravated because it was all these different, all these different movements you had to study. And my mind doesn't work like that. I want to be more fluent. Boxing, even after a while, aggravated me. I'd get winded, but I'll tell you the truth. If you box, holy shit, did that used to kick my ass. I excelled really well in wrestling. I would have been great in mixed martial arts, I think. I was really kind of doing that anyways when I was fighting all the time, even on the streets like a lunatic, because I'm good. I'm okay with a few blows. I got pretty decent hands, heavy hands a little bit. I can hit pretty hard. My tries are really strong, but I can lift you and slam you. I'm really good, and on the ground, I'm good. But a lot of times that was kind of my move, regardless how big you were. I could even take a lot of blows to my head and without even phasing me. I actually liked getting punched in the face and in the head. It would numb me, and then I was cool. It was a weird thing. It was really weird. So I was actually looking forward. Like, if I got in a fight, I would actually look for, like, he'd hit me a few times, like, beautiful, I'm numb. Like, I numb me, I'm cool. I wasn't like a guy who got punched and was, like, freaking out. Like, oh, my God, I'm rattled. Unless you knocked me out, which it wasn't happening. It didn't happen to that level, and I've been punched by so many guys in the head. But I would get in deep. I'd get on you, lift you, and slam you on your head, and then I kind of usually owned you, or I'd lift you. I would do a lot of things physically, but I would take you off your feet. And once I got you on the ground, it was a whole... Once I physically got my hands on you, and then I became so strong, I would just literally just kind of... I wouldn't say crush them, but once I tied into them. But now I'm too old for that. I want to learn self-defense moves where I can, if I get in an altercation, I want to obviously protect myself. But that doesn't mean from a defensive standpoint all the time. Like, you first got to punch me, then I make a move. Or you got to do this to do that. No, I still want to, if I feel something going down or if I get in an altercation, I want to destroy them very quickly. I don't want to roll around on the ground because I'm 50 years old. I don't want to be on the concrete. I'm too old for all that bullshit. I don't even want to see that. So I do want to start taking some lessons as well. I do want to get a firearms license again. I don't have mine because I really think we need to protect ourselves more than ever, actually, out there, especially being in Florida. It's a crazy place. So, the more you're protected, if something goes down, the better off I really think you're going to be. If you think you're just walking around and if something goes down, look around. Who's there for you sometimes, right? You can't always wait for a cop to show up for you. You can't wait for this person to show up for you. Don't think your closest friend or whoever you're with a lot of times, because when shit goes down a lot of times, I've seen more people piss in the pants and run or flee or get their ass kicked more than anything. So anyways, definitely think about taking, and if you want to take jiu-jitsu or you want to take that, that's wonderful as well. And again, if you don't want to do any of those, I would consider working out with some weights, getting a little bigger and thicker, and just curing yourself, where if something goes down, even if you got to push somebody off you, or just learn some simple moves on how to control, the environment a little bit more, even if it's a defensive type thing. I wouldn't learn kicking and things like that, because a lot of times people go to kick or in that nature, once you get your legs taken out from you, it's all over on the ground. So boxing, I think, is kind of really good for people as well. And obviously jiu-jitsu, if you're going to choke people out, that's incredible. Again, depending on your age, great for a workout. But then again, if you're in the streets, I don't know about that. I'd rather just kind of learn how to fight from a distance, I guess you could say. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there. We could go on forever about this. And again, I'm not saying this to sound like I'm some badass. Believe me, like I said before, the fighting days are way behind me. I goof around and say if you punched me, I'd shatter like glass, which is probably not the case. But, and here's one more thing. If you're older, learn to shut the fuck up. I see a lot of old-timers between probably even my age, from probably, I'm calling them old-timers because middle age basically is 35, 40 years old. But if you're between 40 and 80 years old, there's a lot of badasses out there. Learn to keep your mouth shut. I see older men getting cracked around or beat up a lot of times. And I know it's kind of interesting because I've seen this happen a lot more than once, especially a lot of family members and friends in Chicago talking shit. They want all this respect, but you cross the wrong person at the wrong time in your life, things are going to go down. And a lot of times, older guys, I'd hate to say it, they run at the mouth, they get cocky, they don't think anything's going to go down, or they think, hey, I'm 60 years old, this young punk ain't going to do shit to me. Before you know it, you're on the ground and you're getting plummeted, and you end up in ICU or the emergency room. That's not what you want. And I get it. If there's a young kid getting drunk, cocky, and you got your ego and involved and all that, still try not to get in a fight, please. You don't realize. Even my buddies at 50, they get punched your teeth. You're not as tough as you think. Most guys are not even nearly in the shape they think they are anymore. Younger guys are in much better shape, and a lot of these guys train. They're just better trained. You think I'm going to knock them out one. I was a great knockout artist. I even got buddies that were bodyguards, guys that were what was I going to say? Bouncers, all these different guys, weightlifters, power lifters, professional wrestlers. That's all good. I don't give a shit. They're not in the shape they think they are. Their bones can't handle what they think. And I'm not saying that they're not badasses, but a lot of them, after about 30 to 60 seconds, be very aware. I'm just telling you, old-timers, please be aware. Don't let your mouth, put you in that position where you end up in that ICU or that emergency room or even dead. Because a lot of guys drink. They don't care how old you are. They don't give a shit about you. They don't care who you know and if you're connected or, what you've done in your past and all this nonsense talk. People don't give a shit anymore. It ain't those days, all right? All right. Let's officially wrap it up there. Again, thanks for tuning in to the Rich Celenza Show. WTF are you talking about? I got a YouTube channel out there. I'm on Instagram, even though I never post anything on there. I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn. What else do we got out there? I got other shit in my program, like I mentioned. And please learn how to protect yourself. Please, for the love of God. All right? All right. Wrap it up there. Take care. And if you're traveling, safe travels.